In as much as we try to make the world a better place, it still seems surprising and really amazing how crazy things seem to still be happening around us and getting closer to spaces that we would previously consider our safe space. This is the story of Sierah Joughin and how going out for a normal bicycle ride led to her death as she met her would-be killer also riding his bicycle alongside her. If you are ready for this journey, buckle up and let's go. Sierah Joughin was born on the 11th of February 1996, and sadly, her beautiful young life was cut short on the 22nd of July 2016. She was an American woman who was abducted and unfortunately murdered in Delta, Ohio in the United States of America. To summarize, she disappeared in July 19, 2016 and was later found dead 3 days after. Investigations would continue, and we are going to give an account of what happened and the circumstances leading up to her demise. At approximately 6:45 p.m. on the 19th of July 2016, Sierah was riding her bicycle home from her boyfriend's house while he rode alongside her on his motorcycle. This was a normal love relationship, and it is so sweet to see two young people in love just spending quality time together. In this case, they were just riding together. They would part ways near County Road 6 near Metamora, Ohio in Fulton County, and as her boyfriend turned around to go home, Sierah continued further. When Sierah did not arrive home that evening, her boyfriend told her family that he was unable to reach her by cell phone, and as such, they ended up reaching out to the security authorities. Later in the evening, Sierah's bicycle was discovered in a cornfield near where she was last seen, and the county sheriff noted possible signs of a struggle along with motorcycle tracks through the field. With the help of the FBI, security authorities made efforts to track Sierah using her Fitbit activity tracker and her phone, the latter of which returned a signal that would lead them several miles from where her bicycle was located. But unfortunately, this did not lead anywhere. Several rewards were put up, ranging from $25,000 to about $100,000, and this was to be given for any information leading to her safe recovery. Several items that did not belong to Sierah were discovered near her bicycle, surprisingly, and these included a pair of male sunglasses, which would later be tested and would come positive for DNA samples belonging to a male. Also found at the scene was a screwdriver and a box of automotive fuses. A passerby driver also recovered a motorcycle helmet and a bloody handprint on its surface. Sierah's boyfriend was, however, not considered a person of interest due to the fact that his helmet was readily accounted for. As police officers were scouting the neighborhood after Sierah's disappearance, Wally, another gentleman, lived about 2 miles away, had told them that his motorcycle had broken down in the area and that he had lost items of the same description as those discovered by security officers at the crime scene. Hawley also stated that he had discovered 2 bicycles in the field, one of which he took, and that it's possible they would see his fingerprints on it. As somebody would say, a likely story. Hawley would go on to indicate that he didn't steal anything or kill anyone. Fast forward, another witness in the area described seeing a passenger driving a van at top speed through the area and was able to provide a number plate to the security authorities. This number plate was traced back to Hawley and was found to be registered in his name, and it went on to also reveal that Hawley had a prior conviction and had been sentenced in 1990 for assaulting and attempting to kidnap another woman who he had knocked off her bicycle. Based on this information, police investigators obtained a search warrant for Hawley's property. Upon searching a barn on Hawley's property, the authorities discovered a hidden room where they would go on to find several pairs of women's underwear, one of which had blood stain on it. And also, they would find restraints and a carpet-lined freezer stained with blood. They also found on Hawley's motorcycle as well a zip tie restraint and a ski mask in his truck. Sierah's DNA was also found on a piece of duct tape and on an inflatable mattress, both found on his property. Additionally, investigators found recording devices all over the property and concluded from cell phone records that Hawley was at the scene of the abduction for nearly 2 hours during the time Sierah was missing. They also discovered that Hawley had told a court-mandated therapist after his previous conviction that he learned from each abduction he had done and the next one he was going to bury. He was arrested on charges of abduction on July 22nd, which was 3 days after Sierah's disappearance. According to a spokesperson from the sheriff's office, it was suggested that Hawley fits the profile of a serial offender and that he could potentially have additional unknown victims, possibly kept at his property. However, despite an exhaustive search, neither Sierah nor any human remains were found there. On the same day, Hawley was arrested at around 6 p.m. Sierah's remains were discovered in a shallow grave in a field along County Road 7, Delta, Ohio, a few miles southwest of Hawley's property. Her body was found intact, with her wrists handcuffed and bound to the ankles behind her back, and a large plastic toy in her mouth functioning as a gag, and wearing an adult's diaper. An autopsy determined the cause of death as asphyxiation caused by the gag. There was no evidence of sexual assault. The precise time of death was not determined, but the official time of death was captured as 9 p.m. On July 22nd, 2016, when she was declared dead by medical professionals. Legal proceedings would ensue, and on August 16, 2016, Whalley was indicted on 19 counts and was jailed without bail. The charges included aggravated murder, kidnapping, felonious assault, abduction, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a corpse. At his arraignment, Whalley entered a plea of not guilty on all the charges leveled against him. His prosecutors were pushing for capital punishment for the aggravated murder charge, and after two delays in September 2017 and in January 2018, and hundreds of potential jurors called, trial testimony began finally in March of 2018. The prosecution during the trial alleged Whalley had watched pornography up until the time the crime was committed, as evidenced by his web browsing history. They went on to indicate that he ambushed Sierah after encountering her on County Road 6, hit her in the head with his motorcycle helmet, and waited in the field until it was dark. During this time, he called his brother to tell him his motorcycle had broken down, but prosecutors alleged he was next to Sierah in the field when he made that call. He went on to indicate that Whalley then rode his motorcycle back home, drove his van back to the crime scene, and then, with it, transported Sierah back to his residence. Whilst there, he left some of her blood-stained clothes and physically assaulted, gagged, and tied her. At some point, Sierah asphyxiated from the gag, which prosecutors alleged was the true intent of Whalley, as it was inserted with enough force to break a tooth. Whalley then transported her body to the cornfield close to the property, which he buried approximately 2 feet deep. Whalley denied having ever encountered or assaulted Sierah. His defense argued that the evidence obtained from the field or his property, including the underwear, handcuffs, and other related items, were part of a pornography studio that Whalley had intended to start. Whalley claimed that he had left behind the helmet and other evidence found near Sierah's bicycle before the disappearance took place, when his motorcycle had broken down. His defense went on to allege that because of the low concentration of Whalley's DNA on the helmet, it may have been someone else who used it to assault Sierah. A witness saw a man crouched in a field wearing red shorts, but no red shorts were recovered at Whalley's property, and his defense used it to argue that, therefore, could it not have been Whalley in that field. Whalley's defense team went on to argue further, but in all that, closing arguments for the trial concluded on the 26th of March 2018, and jury deliberations began the same day. Whalley was found guilty on March 28th 2018, just 2 days after jury deliberations. And he was found guilty of 17 of the original 19 charges, including aggravated murder, after jurors deliberated for a total of less than 6 hours. Fast forward, the funeral for Sierah was held on July 28, 2016 at Christ the Word Church in Sylvania, Ohio, and her remains were interred in Amboy Township Cemetery. Following the arrest of Wally, community residents organized a Take Back the Roads memorial walk in honor of Sierah, taking place along the road her bicycle was found. A fund was also set up in Sierah's honor, a memorial scholarship fund, which was created originally as a GoFundMe page to request funds to aid in the search effort. Now, that scholarship benefits graduates from Evergreen High School, where Sierah had graduated earlier, who have participated in a varsity sport and organization. Fast forward again, in July 2018, Wally's property was awarded to the estate of Sierah and her family, and they had the barn or the property demolished. After the murder and trial, Sierah's family and other activists argued that not enough information was available to law enforcement and residents regarding convicted felons residing in their communities. They argued further that if a system had been in place to warn the public of offenders in their area, her murder might have been prevented. Law enforcement had stated to the family during the investigation that Wally was not on any local, state, or federal database that tracks offenders, and the family argued that such a database being available might have resulted in Sierah's death being avoided. In July 2016, the organization called Standing Courageous started a Change.org petition calling for lawmakers to establish a violent offender registry in Ohio. This gathered over 13,000 signatures. Initially introduced as Senate Bill 67, a law named after Sierah called the Sierah's Law was constructed in February of 2017 by senators and presented to the Ohio State Judiciary Committee. Originally, the bill was intended to allow the public to search on a website for offenders with the qualifying convictions similar to sex offender registry. After several hearings, where some opponents argued that the bill did nothing to protect the public and created privacy concerns, the bill was rather changed so that residents must visit their local sheriff's office to request a search to be performed. And in November of 2017, the Sierah's Law was introduced to the Ohio Senate as the Senate Bill 231. The law was finally passed on December 6, 2018 and signed into law by the governor on December 19th. It went into effect on the 20th of March 2019. We at True Crimes Cafe wish Sierah's family all the best and extend our condolences to all her loved ones. May she rest in peace, and we pray that our communities, our neighborhoods become safer as the years go by. But until then, stay safe and keep an eye out, because there are a lot of crazy people all around us, and something as basic and normal as going for a bicycle ride might bring you into contact with somebody who is just gone bananas. Stay safe out there.